Thank you. You're the best, Rob. Fantastic. There's nobody better than you. 100%. So let's go to 2-4 on the right angle cross of Eden. It's deeply shattering to be a 2-4 Eden and have your life fall apart when you're young. After all, the one thing about 2-4s is that their home life as children is absolutely essential for them. They need to have a reliable home. They need to be able to feel protected and sheltered within the home. They need to have that space when they feel comfortable, that they're going to be left alone. And one of the things about Eden that is not allowed. And you find a lot of uncomfortable 2-4s on the cross of Eden because there's constantly people trying to pull them out. Normally, that two personality is resilient enough in its defense mechanism that it can keep away a lot of the extraneous calls. But the 2-4 on this cross, no, they're constantly disturbed by being pulled out of comfortable environment. Think about it this way. If you have a 2-4 and you're in a house and their parents have invested in the furniture for the house and they're going to leave it basically the same for the 20 years the child grows up, the child is very secure in that environment. But if you have a 2-4 on the cross of Eden, all of a sudden the mother can decide to redecorate the whole houses, move the room of the child to another area, and redesign the whole thing. The 2-4 goes nuts. They've lost all the community in continuity in their life. It's not like it's the same house anymore. Things are where they're supposed to be. There's something wrong. This is the cross of Eden. And of course, as a child in which they have no way, who's that? Of articulating what is in fact their genetics. What happens is they internalize that and they internalize that through their type. They end up being angry or frustrated or bitter or disappointed in their parents in life. Why change things, says 2-4? Leave it alone. You want to go in and paint the room. No, 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 don't paint my room. Leave it alone. Don't come in here because you're going to go move everything and you're going to touch everything and you're going to shift everything. And I don't want you in here. It's very difficult for 2-4s on this cross. And it's very difficult. As a matter of fact, they get so many calls that they never know which call is truly for them. And in the end, they're simply confused. The other thing is that you have a 2-4 in your life and you change the environment too often, they're going to get sick. And one of the things about the 4, we know that the 4 is infective. We know that the 4 is the carrier. The 4 is the influence to get it out. But remember, they get it out with their friends. They get their community. That's that community. If their parents, their kids, they send to school. This is something that is absolutely essential for them, even though they're 2-4. They have to have those contacts. They have to be able to move their influence. Now, because they are two personality, that's going to take time to integrate with the groove and to bring the 4 consciousness at it. I can't pass this. Bom dia. See? Ah, yeah, Planatina? Ok, que bom, obrigado. Vamos levar entrar da casa, por favor. Vamos levar entrar aqui, tá? Pode. Sim. Desculpa, eu faço uma gravação agora. So think about the 4 on the cross of Eden, and the parents change their house, change neighborhoods, change cities. Put it all in the closet, please. Okay? In the closet there. Now let them do it. Let them do it. Let them do it. Let them put it there. Difficult for them as well. It's difficult for them to go into a new school and start this process all over again of trying to deal with their shyness and having to deal with trying to find somebody they can bond with. And if you hold it long enough, it's going to make you sick. And then you're really going to be thrown out of Eden. You'll be thrown into the sick bed, into the hospital, whatever the case may be. Now, then we go to the 2-5s. The 2-5s don't want to be exposed. I think this is the things that you can really see about the sixth gate, is that the sixth gate is really in this emotional wave to expose itself. By the way, it's in a way as said, so whatever. But nonetheless, the sixth gate is always ready to expose itself somewhere in its emotional wave. Hopefully, it's not on the street corner in a trench coat, but nonetheless, it's there. And this is the whole mystery, anyway, of the emotional wave. You're going up and down. And the subtlety that in the six, because of the emotions, only reveal themselves in contact and intimacy. Remember, the mystery of the wave is that the six is the six don't need appear to be. Let me change the language here. Six are not projectors of wave. If you hit any other emotional gate, it projects out of its wave. That wave goes out, very clearly goes out. But the six, in a sense, can hold that wave very close to itself. It's like what I talk about plants in their aura. If you want to communicate with plants, you can't shout across the room to them because the aura is very, very tight. You literally have to touch the flesh of the plant to actually reach its aura. And in many ways, the six has this. Because of that, this pH, it has the ability to really be able to hold its aura very close. And the only way that you can actually get to their wave is that you get it through intimacy. I have 49 sixes, emotional 1 3 in my life, and I have a 3955 emotional 2 1 3 in my life. Now, the 3955 emotional 1 3s, you don't need any subtlety to figure out that they're emoting. They emote, it's just there. You know when they're up and you know when they're down, and it's almost like a cloud that you can step into. But the 59.6, you don't know. You don't know how to see them. You don't know how to hear them. You've got to touch them. The moment you touch them, you feel the whole thing. And if you're really upset, the moment you touch them, then they break down. So it's one of the things to understand about emotionally. There's the one that grows with the sun. You have to see that this does not really show emotion. It often is a problem in the relationship. They seem to be disinterested. No definition can be more disinterested in sex than the 49.6. Again, it's one of those wonderful ironies. I can imagine two fives being great kamikaze pilots. Truly, I can really see that. Finally, it's just all right. One of the hardest things to do in this life is to find the weak point of anybody that's going to have a five in their life. Did they already leave? No, they're just turning around, right? You can just think that you have found a weak point, but in fact, there's no much projection that it's unlikely that you can ever imagine where their weakness is. Only a 2-5 can find their own weak point, and in dealing with their own weakness, maybe motivate them to the point that they're willing to be open to the other side, maybe, but nobody else is going to. And remember, you have two personalities here. The outside thing they see in, but they're only seeing that the two, all the rest is lost in the marriage in the five underneath and the seduction of that. Two fives will run away from attention and much more than a 2-4 would. Remember, the 2-4 always had its near signs up. The 2-4 never puts up near signs. The 2-5, it actually puts up in sign of the front of the font that says, no one lives here. Nobody lives here. Nobody ever lived here. Keep on walking. And they're up there in their window watching. So one of the things to note about the five, they never stop looking. If you walk down a beach and all the men with their sunglasses on, staring frozen at the beach, they have a five somewhere watching, looking. After all, the five has the ability to look out and to see that there's a sucker on every corner, that there's a fool around the next bend. And it's the only thing that can look out the window and see who can be called. It's their gift. It's so interesting how rarely that gift functions correctly in life, like anything else. Amazing, huh?